Morobe steps up coronavirus safeguards as Eastern Highlands gives to China. And Wewak launches development plan.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. The airport, wharf, boat stops and highways are all areas which Morobe's Coronavirus Preparedness and Response Committee will be surveying in the efforts to combat coronavirus in the province. Doctor in charge of the committee, Dr. Lincoln Menda, said with Port Moresby being the first point of entry for travellers, the committee is setting up surveillance at selected locations to identify possible coronavirus cases.
The Morobe Coronavirus Preparedness and Response Committee is made up of the Provincial Health Authority, port authorities and other stakeholders. According to Dr. Lincoln Menda, the sea and airport, the highways and one identified boat stop are all areas that the committee has identified to carry out surveillance.
So there's the health team as well as the other teams that are responsible for that, like customs and Nakia and all these others. So that's the areas that we have now set up as areas of point of entry into Morobe.
The coronavirus or COVID-19 outbreak started in Wuhan, China last year and has spread to several other countries including Singapore, Australia and the most recent being New Zealand with one case confirmed today. Dr. Kipus Binga from the Morobe Coronavirus Committee said whilst checks may be conducted at the Jackson's Airport, other centres need to beef up surveillance to identify possible cases as well. Surveillance will involve checking travellers for symptoms.
Flu and common cold, influenza, like illnesses, people with flu coming in, so you cannot differentiate actually. They will come with fever, they will come with sore throat, they will come with runny nose. So for us in Morobe and the rest of the world that is doing this, one of the important part of the story from the patients presented is we need to get a very good history.
2 clinics have been set up as coronavirus and public screening units. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
This may be the first actual monetary donation given to China. Eastern Highlands provincial government donating 100,000 kina to the Chinese government through their embassy in Port Moresby. Eastern Highlands province has a sister province agreement with the Fujian province in China for the last 20 years. The connection prompting the provincial government to assist. Meanwhile, in China, the country is working to contain the number of confirmed cases in Wuhan and other provinces.
And big or small, what counts is the friendship. The key message during the handover of 100,000 kina check to assist China in the efforts to contain the virus. Zhu Bing, the Chinese ambassador to PNG, stating the country is slowly getting the numbers of confirmed cases down each day, as the number of total deaths climbed to 2,744.
2 days, the new confirmed cases of the virus is below 10. The day before yesterday it was 9. Yesterday it's 5. So then that's just to say, apart from in other parts of China, it's virtually been contained. Majority of the cases, still in Hubei province, in Wuhan city.
One day after the system is the
Ambassador Bing thanking the Eastern Highlands Governor for taking the initiative to actually donate, adding that other members of Parliament and the Prime Minister had written letters to the Chinese President.
Appreciating what you have been doing. And of course, I have to brief you, Mr. Governor. And Prime Minister Morobe also, wrote a letter to the Chinese President. And I think next week he'll be hosting a charity lunch to get some donations for the Chinese government. So this and many other ministers also made a video clip to show support.
For Eastern Highlands Province, their relations with China go well beyond 20 years of sister province partners with Fujian Province in China. The sister province partnership assisting in the establishment of rice and mushroom farms in the province.
It has helped a lot in my district, the province. And also China has a long relation with cordial friendship with Papua New Guinea. And in such times we want to stand up and to say that we are concerned with the issue is affecting our friends up in China.
The Eastern Highlands Governor Peter Numu also stating that preventive measures will be put in place for the province once NDOH confirms the case in PNG. The province is expected to work along with Morobe, Medang and Simbu to protect its land borders from the heavy income of travellers it sees daily.
We don't have any cases here. The Eastern Highlands Provincial Government will remain as it is. We'll continue with our normal business. We won't cause any panic or whatsoever. We will wait for the proper advice, report and advice from the relevant agencies, our responsible agencies. That's the stance from the Eastern Highlands Provincial Government.
The governor also passing his condolences to families in China who lost loved ones to the virus. Adelaide Siroxkari, National EMTV News.
The virus has spread to 50 countries and reached every continent except Antarctica. Worldwide, there have been more than 82,000 cases and 2,008 deaths in China. The vast majority of casualties have been in Wuhan, the province where the outbreak began.
At the end of a tough shift fighting the virus, a doctor steps out onto the streets of a deserted city. Wuhan is still in total lockdown. Hello, Dr. Xie.
Hey.
How are you? In a rare, officially approved interview with Dr. Xie Jiang. As well as in videos provided to us, the BBC's been given unique access to a man on the front line of a war. One, he says, is being won.
I came to Wuhan 1 month ago. Patients were pouring into the hospital like a tide. And we do not have enough beds available for everyone. I think things are holding up better right now.
Wuhan shows what the virus can do to a health system. The thousands of extra beds have begun to make a difference, but there are still major challenges.
I'm not satisfactory with those mortality. I still think the mortality is really too high. For patients with severe symptoms, the mortality is even higher than SARS. That's the thing we should address right now.
This is Dr. Xie dealing with one of those severe cases. With the virus attacking the lungs, no city in the world, he says, would have enough specialist ventilators to keep thousands of such patients alive. Even doctors have died, including Li Wenliang, one of the first to try to warn about the dangers of the virus, only to be silenced by the police.
I was very sad when I heard this kind of news. It's really a big blow for us, for the whole medical stuff.
Do you think China should learn lessons as a result of his death?
Absolutely. Information disclosure is really important. I lost 5 patients in one night. Can you imagine that? In one night, I lost 5 lives. I should warn the rest of the world that you guys should take care. Don't neglect this disease.
At the end of another night shift, this time Dr. Xie sings a patriotic song. He believes China will win this fight, but it's one the rest of the world may have only just begun.
New Zealand has its first confirmed case of coronavirus. The Prime Minister announced a positive test result for a patient at Auckland Airport a while ago.
What we know is this patient arrived back from Iran via Bali on Wednesday. The patient is in their 60s. When they got back to New Zealand, back to Auckland Airport, they travelled home in their private car. And once they got home, their family became concerned about their condition. And they went to Auckland Hospital and were admitted immediately and tested for coronavirus, given the fact they had been in Iran, where cases have grown in the last few days. Now, that patient underwent 3 tests for coronavirus. Now, it's important to note the first 2 came back negative, but then the officials went for a more third specific sample, which came back positive around 4:15 this afternoon. And as you mentioned, the Prime Minister addressed this probably in the last hour and a half in Australia, where she confirmed New Zealand has its first positive case of coronavirus.
They are obviously being treated with all of the precautions that you would expect, and this is, of course, all subject to the pandemic plan that we have had in place since early January. We have been prepared for this scenario, and we are now enforcing all of the protocols we've long had in place for a scenario such as this.
Now, as you heard from the Prime Minister there, she says this is now part of our pandemic plan. She's reasonably relaxed about the way this is running so far. The Ministry of Health says the patient's condition is slightly improving. They've been put in what's called a negative pressure room in Auckland Hospital to stop the disease from spreading. At the moment, their concern is trying to find out who has been in close contact with this patient. So they're tracing where the patient has been. And in particular, they want to hear from anyone with health concerns who travelled on Emirates flight EK450. That's Emirates flight EK450 from Bali on Wednesday morning. So health officials say they are on top of it, but they do want to find out who has been in contact with the patient.
The New Zealand government is wrapping up its efforts to keep New Zealand safe. It's blocking flights from Iran, where the outbreak is growing, and people arriving from 5 more countries will be met by health officials.
The government, they have ignored the pleas of mercy from those universities who were desperately asking for international students to be allowed into our country. Instead, those pleas have been met by more restrictions as the government ups its efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19. Entering a new phase to protect and defend against the deadly virus.
We continue to focus on keeping COVID-19 out of New Zealand,
which means deploying more staff to our border to meet everyone arriving from Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, Singapore and Thailand. And now, along with China, no one other than New Zealanders who have been in or travelled through Iran are allowed in and must self-isolate.
This situation in Iran is concerning. There is ongoing spread of the disease there and a large degree of uncertainty about the scale of the outbreak and the ability to contain it.
And desperately needed Chinese students aren't allowed in the tertiary sector, unable to prove they could isolate them safely here.
The strong advice we've had from health professionals and medical experts is that we should not lift that ban at this stage.
Extreme measures to keep COVID-19 out as it spreads to more countries, more people, and gives world health leaders more reasons to warn of its dangers.
If you act aggressively now, you can contain this virus.
Action Australia took seriously, becoming the first country in the world to activate its pandemic plan.
We're effectively operating now on the basis that there is one.
They now screen everyone at its border, preparing hubs to test for COVID-19 and stadiums to quarantine the sick.
We have additional resource going in at our borders, at our airports. That's a step up again of what was already in place. When it comes to the healthcare, we were well prepared for this. This individual is already, of course, in isolation.
The Olympic host country, Japan, going one step further, shutting all of its schools until April. As more people around the world enter isolation at hotels, at home and on military fleets too, New Zealand enters its own fight on home soil to combat COVID-19.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. The justice system is blamed for the mass breakout of remandees at Baisu Correctional Service in Western Highlands Province earlier this week. Baisu Jail Commander Chief Superintendent Timbi Kaugla told EMTV News this afternoon that the remandees have given up waiting for too long for their court appearances. 71 of the escapees are still at large.
Of the 102 that escaped on Monday noon, 100 of them were remandees who were in custody of the Correctional Service and have been waiting for more than 2 to 3 years for the national court hearings. Only 2 were convicted prisoners.
Some of those remand prisoners, most of them are national escorts, national court remandees. They were waiting for their court appearance. Some decisions has been made, but they have been waiting for their decisions to be laid down by the courts.
There was a national court call-out on Monday this week, which the remandees thought many of them would attend, but to their dismay, only 1 remandee was taken to Mount Hagen National Court. Baisu Jail Commander Timbi Kauga said investigation has started on the cause of the mass breakout, but prisoners have been complaining too much of the delaying of court cases and decisions.
Escape took place as a result of frustrations. There were no convicted prisoners who took part in that escape. Only 2 who were outside that went with them.
Of the 102 that escaped, 8 of them were shot dead by the Joint Disciplinary Forces. 8 others were severely injured with bullet and bushknife wounds and were hospitalized. However, 5 of the 8 escaped at the hospital with the aid of their armed relatives. 28 of them were recaptured, leaving 71 still at large.
The escapees who had escaped, they were charged for murder cases, they were charged for rape cases, they were charged for stealing. Those are offenses that are not wanted by the society at large.
It was during the lunch break on Monday noon when the escapees saw less manpower manning the prison gate, so they walked out of the gate without hesitation, singing "Moses is breaking the Red Seas," and they ran up the nearby mountain and escaped. Warders tried to stop them by firing warning shots, but they were short of manpower and also feared for their lives. These did not stop them from running.
If really it needed be, we will call upon defense to assist us. But so far, there's no information come from the public. But the community at large, they are not assisting, especially the police and CS, to give information so that we might be able to recapture some of them.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Increases in women participation, agriculture, land administration and fisheries have been identified as key development pathways the Wewak District Development Authority will focus on improving. As outlined in the Wewak District 5-year development plan, water and sanitation, creating a savings culture and growing the local economy are goals the Wewak DDA are working towards achieving.
The 5-year development plan, which local MP Kevin Isifu says is anticipated to be a benchmark in the district's development history, was launched in Wewak town on Wednesday. Wewak, the provincial capital of East Sepik, is becoming a strategic town in the development of agriculture and livestock projects in the Greater Sepik region. Under the European Union's Support to Rural Entrepreneurship, Investment and Trade Project or STRAT program, 340 million kina has been pumped into agricultural projects in the 8 districts in the Greater Sepik region. Thus, the launching of the 5-year development plan is seen as a level of support by the district towards projects undertaken by the provincial government through the EU funding.
Plan bla mi plan la Wewak district. Now mi plan launch him. And we capture him all that are important or priorities. Now like Natintin, where 11 LLG, blow me 6 LLG, blow me inside the Wewak, only got long em. District plan, EMSA form, anta all local level government plans. Now local level government plans, you may come up in Wewak, you may come up in all district plan, EMSA gonna come up in, now formulate him all provincial government plan.
A district development plan is a requirement from the national government. Through the plan, district projects in terms of basic government services are implemented. In most parts of Papua New Guinea, the implementation of government services are sometimes halted because of mismanagement. East Sipi Governor Alan Baird, whilst acknowledging the work of Wewak DDA, encouraged locals in Wewak to assist the DDA in ensuring services that are listed in the development plan are implemented in the given time.
Okay, me ask him, you people yet, you need lo sanap na look sawe. Na halpi me lo stop him, lo pass him, lo misuse him, money blow people. That's why I'm only way by me make sure so when a little money come down, and me come through I don't know DDA or me come through lo LLG through lo province. Must go straight. Lo one have brought you me budget him long must go straight, lo give him service lo people. Before plan the money come na lose nothing la brought. So me ask you people, if put him my good, huh? Help me bla all get na me bla try clean him this all biggest passing is a stop na make sure. Rausim desla passing blockage na larimo service mas goran people blame lo one man place all start.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Governor Sir Peter Ipatas says Papua New Guineans are highly capable of investing in real estate business. Speaking at a new building opening today in Port Moresby, an adamant Governor Ipatas said encouraging local entrepreneurs is the way forward in order to take back PNG.
Governor Ipatas, who is known for investing heavily on education in his province, has always been vocal about government's investment in PNG's human resource. And today was no exception.
I'm a firm believer in educating people, especially our citizens, because through education we can compete. We can be competitive with other international friends.
However, he said investing in education is one thing, but what those people do after being educated is another thing. Talking about real estate business in PNG today, he said giving prime land away is not the way to go, but Papua New Guineans should be encouraged to invest in the land.
We are eventually giving all our prime land away. And here we come to a good development at a corner, and who is occupying all the prime land? All the prime land in this city and in PNG, all over the country, is being occupied by foreigners. I don't want to say that the foreigners are not good investors in our country, but I think that they can invest in areas that we cannot. And in terms of real estate, I think Papua New Guinea are capable of investing in real estate.
Today, the governor was proud to open a lodging facility at Gordon in Port Moresby.
Service apartments officially open.
That has been built by an Angan from humble beginnings and many challenges.
Because we have built it ourselves locally, let's do it locally to see if our nation, PNG, could be taken back if individuals with real characters are properly identified.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Still ahead in the news, reviving coffee plantations and shaving to raise funds for kidney disease. Details after the break. Welcome back to the news. The Morobe Stephen government plans to revitalise all coffee plantations in the country. Vice Minister for Agriculture under the coffee sector, Pogio Gate, says this will see better pricing for farmers. Gate encouraged all coffee-growing provinces to plant more coffee and support this government policy.
Speaking to EMTV News, the Vice Minister says a concrete plan has been designed to improve the status of coffee production in the country. Vice Minister Gate says the government wants to resuscitate all coffee plantations in the country.
We need to revive every coffee plantations and coffee block holders and resuscitate every coffee plantations throughout the country. That's our heavy work that we need to do. There's a lot of work that we need to do. That's a problem which I know. There's a problem to the coffee plantations and coffee block holders. There's a plantation that we need to address it.
Vice Minister Gate is responsible for the coffee sector. Under the ministry, more focus will be given to farmers. He says the current coffee price has dropped, but despite this, farmers have been working hard. Gate says the new plan also captures better techniques of farming coffee and giving a better price for the crop for farmers to benefit.
So we might be getting some better price, not that it used to be, but our price should be better than before. I'm also serious about our price, getting a better price from outside. We cannot look on the other side only. We have to look where the market is and where they can help to get the best price. The farmers deserve the best price.
Adding on, the DAL Vice Minister says coffee is one of the country's top commodities that has supported the economy over the years. With the Morobe Stephen government to heavily invest in agriculture sector, Gate is encouraging farmers to plant more coffee.
I think I'm appealing to people of Papua New Guinea, if you are planting coffee, you need to do some more planting. Do some more cleaning. We need to do some more planting, and we'll see from there.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Last night's inaugural Shave for Kidney fundraiser would see over 150,000 kina raised for the Roger Hawafa Kidney Foundation. For founder and daughter of the late radio personality Michelle Hawafa, it was an emotional and personal experience.
Kidney disease remains a definitive threat in Papua New Guinea, with an increasing number of people suffering from its symptoms. The Roger Hawafa Kidney Foundation, when launching its inaugural fundraising drive, are hoping that with their help, the statistics on kidney disease will go down.
This is our first major fundraising event since the formation of the Roger Hawafa Kidney Foundation. I'd like to say special thanks to Sean of the Grand Papua Hotel for giving us the venue free of charge to hold our inaugural event. And this evening, as well as Sylvia of Pasco Promotions for the free FOC setup. Thank you. Funds saved on venue costs and setup costs goes towards our kidney health mission.
While only a handful were in attendance, the pledges given in would go into rolling out the foundation's objectives of promoting a healthy lifestyle as a means of preventing kidney disease, providing affordable, quality and accessible kidney treatments, supporting kidney patients and their carers so they can make informed decisions, and working collaboratively with all stakeholders in addressing kidney health issues in Papua New Guinea. For founder Michelle Hawafa, the foundation was a journey through her own personal tragedy with the loss of her father Roger to the disease.
And we walked that journey with my dad. We felt the pain that our people feel. We were luckier than most. We were able to access private health care for Dad, but still it was expensive and still it was painful. And so the Kidney Foundation was born out of our experience, and we do it out of love.
It was the final item on last night's itinerary that would bring tears to her eyes as she shaved her head for kidneys. All in all, through donations in kind, cash and pledges, the foundation raised 154,000 kina. Donations to the foundation also came in various forms, with young entrepreneur Crystal Kewe donating both her time and money to the foundation. The Roger Hawafa Kidney Foundation is hoping to eventually have kidney centers all around Papua New Guinea. Jeremy Mogi, National TV News.
Up next, some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Paradise Food Limited, under their MNA brand, today extended their sponsorship to the AFL Junior Development Program, New Kick. The sponsorship was to the tune of 300,000 kina, which will go towards growing the sport of Australian rules in Papua New Guinea at the junior level.
The new Kick AFL program, which serves as a development pathway for the sport of Australian rules football, today received sponsorship from Paradise Food Limited.
Right, we have been backing the program already for 1 year, and so this is another 2-year commitment from us, and we're really happy to do this because this program reaches out to almost 80,000 kids in Papua New Guinea, so it really does represent the future of our country and the future of athletes in the country, so it's just a great thing for us to support, and I think it's some place where our brand needs to be.
The sponsorship by Paradise Foods is a step up from last year and will help the program progress to more areas around the country.
Well, it enables them to grow their program and to hire professionals and send out coaches across the country to help the kids, which is really good. And for us, it just gets our brand out in front of the people that it is our job to feed. And, we feed the nation with our product. And
Oceania Penny is the director of AFL PNG Junior Development Program. He says mostly school children are participants and interest is increasing. He added that the program is also in the Highlands region.
When we were around 50,000 school kids joined to the program, we reached about over 70,000, going towards 80. So for us, is a big achievement to see a local company maintain sponsorship, and I think the renewal of the sponsorship shows the excitement about the development of the game.
Oceania added that it was great help by a local company which also provides mostly the school-aged children who take part with some Now biscuits for lunch.
When the kids leave home to come for games in the early part of the day, they know that if they didn't eat anything, there'll be Now biscuits there for them to eat. So we're just happy that Paradise Foods have come forward again for the next 2 years under the new logo, New Kick. So it's great news for us of AFL. The development of the game at junior level has spread to Mount Hagen in the Western Islands, also in Lae and near West New Britain is being strengthened, as well as in East New Britain, New Ireland, and we look forward to spreading this to other centres again in the country. Port Moresby, of course, is the mainstay of the game.
Felix Sukina National EMTV Sports.
20-year-old Ricky Numa from Hula has qualified for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in the sport of sailing after attending the recent Oceania Championships in Australia. The qualification makes Numa the first athlete to qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games.
First Papua New Guinea athlete to secure a spot for the country to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics is 20-year-old Tiriki Numa to the Olympic Games in the sport of sailing. Competing in the Laser Standard class, the 20-year-old from Hula grabbed the spot during the Oceania qualifiers, which was held during the World Laser Championships in Melbourne this month. President of Sailing PNG, Graham Numa, was a proud man when he received the news in Port Moresby, saying that his athlete had been a target for the Olympics over the last 4 years. Tiriki, who works as a strength and conditioning trainer with Cricket PNG, had been in intensive training off the coast of Butles Bay and Gabutu, where Sailing PNG's training grounds are. Along with older sibling and female PNG sailor Rose, the two are coached by their older brother Raymond. Tiriki thanked Sailing PNG for the opportunity and also the PNG Olympic Committee for the support which enabled him to attend and participate at the event. Numa, who's now in the country, will continue his training program and later head back to Brisbane for further training. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Athletics PNG has released a calendar of events for the next 2 years. The focus this year is on domestic programs in preparation for the 2021 Oceania Championships in Port Vila and the Pacific Mini Games in Saipan, Northern Marianas. With the possibility of a deferral of the PNG Games, Athletics PNG has scheduled this year's National Championships to September rather than June in order to avoid a long gap between the National Championships and the Pacific Mini Games, due to the need to select teams 2 to 3 months ahead of the Games. The National Championship will be a key consideration in the selection process, as will performance in selection trials early in 2021. Regional championships will take place in the middle of the year, over June and July. Chukai Sports continues with more stories after these messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The scheduled Women's Oceania Rugby 2021 Rugby World Repechard Qualification Series between Papua New Guinea and Tonga in Port Moresby has been deferred. The match was scheduled for the 29th of February, but the match has been moved forward to Sunday, the 1st of March. The ANZ PNG Kassawaris, formerly the Palais, take on the Tongan women's team at the Bava Park Rugby Union ground on Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
The first leg of the Oceania Rugby 2021 Rugby World Repechage Qualification Series, confirmed to take place in Port Moresby between the PNG Kassawaris and the Tongan women's team on Saturday, has been deferred.
Women's Repechage Qualification match between Papua New Guinea and Tonga, scheduled for Saturday, the February 29th at Bava Park, has been now deferred to Sunday, March the 1st at Bava Park at the same kick-off time of 3:30.
The match was scheduled for tomorrow with a 3:30 p.m. kick-off, but the Tongan women team had difficulty boarding their Qantas flight due to strict restrictions put in place against the COVID-19 coronavirus.
Stringent criteria in place because of the various risks associated with not only coronavirus but across measles in previous months. A misunderstanding from complications in around the application process, which has otherwise prevented them from boarding, is rather unfortunate.
This could present itself as an opportunity for the Kassawaris, who have picked a strong side with an addition of 2 overseas players, one from Australia, who plays in Canada, and the other from Darwin.
Okay, so the team's been training since January. They've been together for about 6 weeks now. They've been put on the training's been, they've literally been training 3-4 days a week. For the players that we've brought in from overseas, we've got 2 players from overseas that have joined the team. One player from Darwin and the other player from Vancouver, who's Australian based but playing her club rugby in Vancouver, Canada.
Competition manager of Oceania Rugby, Wayne Schuster, said PNG will take on Tonga and the winner will proceed on to challenge the Samoan women's team, the Manusina, in Apia, Samoa.
Yeah, winner of this match between Papua New Guinea and Tonga will travel to Apia on April the 18th to play off against Samoa for the final regional qualification spot at the Repechage proposed for the end of the year.
The Repechage tournament was extended to include Tonga, who missed out on the Oceania Rugby Women's Cup in November last year due to the measles outbreak. Fidelis Sukina National, EMTV Sports.
New Zealand Rugby insists the domestic game remains crucial to the long-term success of the sport. New Zealand Rugby has today unveiled the initial findings of a review to the national obsession, but provincial unions fear it will lead to more problems than solutions.
Provincial rugby has long been the heartbeat of our national game.
No trouble this time.
Providing a stepping stone for players to go from here to here.
That is not a try, that's a miracle.
But the findings of a review sanctioned by rugby officials could spell trouble for the domestic game.
At a younger and younger age, they're playing into the fully professional area. So that's an inherent tension we're working through in terms of the way that the community and participation focus of the game and the professional game looks.
The information released today around the review is light on detail, but clearly points to the domestic game as being an area that needs attention. And NewsHub understands that could mean a focus on merely driving participation rather than player development.
We still see, domestic competitions as a fundamental part of our future. What exact shape they look like, we are not entirely sure at the moment.
And it's that uncertainty that has unions around the country concerned. Sources close to the review have told NewsHub provincial administrators are incredibly nervous about the position these findings and subsequent changes may leave them in.
We will share a wide range of information around high performance pathways and competitions that feed into this area, and then sit down and have a really honest conversation.
Super Rugby franchises won't be immune from that, but have thrown their full support behind the provinces, who will be more affected than anyone.
They have a constitutional role in New Zealand rugby, so that's very clear, and there is no lack of engagement in terms of provincial unions. Everybody's in this together.
The key thing we're doing here is recognising we've got some challenges and being very proactive about trying to do something about it.
It's an approach that many are hoping won't drive competitions like this further into the mire.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly fine weather in Port Moresby and Daru. Cloudy with a shower or two in Kerema and Popondetta. Fine weather in Alotau. In the Mamase region, cloudy with a shower or two in Lae, Midang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, afternoon showers in Lorengau, Kokopo and Rabaul, thundery showers in Kavieng, cloudy with a chance of some showers in Kimbe and mostly fine weather in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with a chance of some rain later in Mount Hagen, rain and thunderstorms in Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabag. Forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point, Arma Coast to Samarai Island, including waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, waters of East Cape to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, and waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to Siasi Island to Long Island, waters of Long Island to Karkar Island, Medang, Bogia to Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of New Ireland, East and West New Britain and Bougainville seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands seas of 0.5 to 1 meter. A look at the ocean forecast. The PNG areas in the Coral Sea, seas slight with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight with northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with southwest to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 28th of February 2020. From the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.